Welcome to the Issues of Sports. We come at you month after month after month. That's right. It's my pleasure to be joined by the Rude Dog, Rudy Reyes, and we just had the NBA Finals wrap up. And by the way, I'm Evan Makovsky. I should say my name, E-Mak. We just had the NBA Finals wrap up. Denver takes down Miami 4-1. Nikola Jokic. He is the MVP of the finals. He's a triple-double machine. I thought about getting all these stats before this podcast, but they're out there already. I don't need to. You don't need to come here to know that he was a stat sheet stuffer from points to leading the NBA playoffs in rebounds and assists. He was all over the place. Stanley Cup Finals wraps up in Vegas 4-1 over the Panthers, same as the NBA Finals. Vegas dominates it. They blow them out in Game 5, win in Las Vegas. And today we had the parade, and this will post in the next day or so. But so all that matters is the parade happened in Denver. And then you're going to see one down Las Vegas Boulevard, Rude Dog. I think the rest of the country is a little more interested, even if they have no affiliation for the team, because they've been to those hotels.
Yeah, they have. I have as well. I've been to some of those hotels. Matter of fact, the NFL draft happened in 2022. So I feel their pain and the heat on top of it, especially when you're in Las Vegas. You certainly feel the heat early and often. It's more near the Central Valley as well. Yeah. What's interesting is that you have two disparaging components between the NHL and the NBA. Well, both Florida teams were ousted. Shocker. It really was from a state standpoint. So Florida,
I think the better teams might have won. I don't know hockey enough, and the Panthers were the 8th seed, and no, so were the Heat. The Heat were the 8th seed too, and the Panthers upset the Bruins, who set the regular season record. And I don't think a President's Cup trophy, I feel like, hasn't won. It's 08 or 09. One year was Pittsburgh, but it's since Detroit won the President's Cup. And so winning the regular season, being the best team in the NHL, is far from a lock to win the Stanley Cup. But, and I don't want to get off topic for what we're about to break into for the podcast here on the Issues of Sports. E-Mak Evan Makovsky with Rudy Rude Dog, burgeoning radio star Reyes. There you go. You're on your way.
I appreciate the plug. Thanks.
There you go. So I don't even remember what I was talking about, but all I'm saying, the Stanley Cup Finals, the parade.
There's going to be a parade no matter what.
Great parade in Vegas. And Vegas is now, it's not necessarily, it's just, it's working out for pro sports, and the Golden Knights were the first team, and now the Raiders, and now the A's are going to move there. And
what a joke that is.
But the city of Oakland's not giving them what they need. And that's what kind of, there's like urban decay. I heard that the A's, I don't know if this is true, but when even they were winning World Series in the 70s with Raleigh Fingers, that the fans weren't so great showing up. But now, I mean, the product stinks. I mean, they have a $55 million payroll. Justin Verlander and the Mets were another disappointment for just the fact you can't outspend the rest of the league by that much money and be under 500. But Justin Verlander makes $40 million. The whole A's payroll makes $55 million. At least at the beginning of the season, it did. So they have no shot. It's time for them to go. They're packing it in. The stadium's having issues. I don't want to deep dive
I've been to that stadium though. I've been to that stadium, and make no mistake, it is old. I mean, it is very old. You have concrete seats you sit in. It's not comfortable for long.
All right,
you have to bring your own pads, and concession prices are through the roof, as you know, throughout Major League Baseball. And of course, they probably are in the NFL this year. In addition, because costs are going up everywhere. But more importantly, that the A's are tanking for the wrong reasons. Of course, a reverse boycott, meaning that fans are just tired of ownership in Oakland. But yeah, I digress.
No, but absolutely, and we can halt this. But the only point I was making is that sports, at least, I'm not saying that the Las Vegas Raiders have been dominating, but it wasn't working in Oakland, and Vegas now is where it once was kind of like the thought that I thought when I was younger was okay, because Vegas is a gambling town, professional sports outside of UNLV basketball, which is collegiate sports and not professional. But I'm just saying that that Vegas was always like that's why they didn't get a sports team. Now they got one. They've done very well. They just won the Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights. The Raiders will. The Raiders are in a nice stadium. Now, I'm just saying that the A's. The A's should go to Vegas. It's hot.
Everybody wants to go to Vegas, but you know what they say: what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And of course, the Raiders are no exception to that rule, and neither are the Golden Knights. And of course, 6 years later, as ownership would dictate, they won a Stanley Cup, which is exactly what they did. Um, and now here comes the eventual Las Vegas A's, not necessarily known as the Athletics, because they don't seem, at least their record doesn't actually indicate their name of being athletic when you have a team that's actually tanking. And the A's
I don't know if they're
are
they tanking or they just stink. I haven't watched one of their games.
But, you're probably not losing much. Well, and to be honest with you, it's probably a toss up on both sides of the coin. But speaking of viewership, or those that are actually watching not only this show, but have been following along throughout any given NBA or NFL season, there's some disparities between the NFL and the NBA and viewership and what that actually looks like. And what I mean by that is you have ownership who takes pride within the NFL. Of course, you can protect the star, protect the, shield, or whatever euphemism you want to use, but they're protecting themselves by gaining massive amounts of viewership over the airways. And make no mistake about it, the NFL's king when it's on, and there is no one even close to second.
Well, that leads us into today's issues of sports topic, and it's highly subjective. So there's so many ways what gives a sporting event high ratings. So I thought of different type angles. Obviously, during the playoffs, although not always, if the teams aren't interesting and it's not it's not a competitive series like this Denver Miami, you had two, regardless, and Jokic not even in Americans, even with him winning 2 MVPs the last 2 years, but them not, yes, in the bubble, they made it to the conference finals, but them not, people hadn't seen them play. I haven't seen them. There's no shame in saying you're a sports fan and you don't watch Denver Nuggets regular season games at all. I mean, no, but this guy is the best player in the NBA. But not high ratings for the series. And even though Butler's exciting, although he didn't play well in this series, Adebayo did, but definitely not. Adebayo isn't going to bring the casual fan. And the place to go here is Jamal Murray, who, again,
who's Canadian.
Jokic is the guy to bring the cat because he's the superstar. He's the future Hall of Fame
from Serbia.
Yes. Yeah. And that's part of it too, that he's, even though like when Dirk won in 2011, it was an amazing series when he came back against LeBron down 2-0, and they reversed what happened in 2006 when the Heat were down 2-0 to the Mavs, and then they came back with Shaq and Gary Payton and Dwayne Wade, obviously, and won the Heat's first championship. All I'm saying is, remind me what I'm saying.
What you're saying is that it's not the sexy markets that actually get people to watch. Correct. It's the product.
Right, but I think LeBron and Wade, Nowitzki he had one of the best playoff series I've seen. Did he bring people to the TV? I would say because, yes, Nowitzki's an all-star Hall of Famer, and that was one of the best playoffs I've ever seen a player have when they won in 2011. They got rid of the Lakers, and maybe it was 4 games. I think it was. They swept the Lakers.
It was 4 games.
It was 4 games. They were an unbelievable squad, and I think they were better than. And LeBron just needed one more all I'm saying though, the ratings though came from LeBron James. Even
Well,
though just at that point, and the heat and the star power of the Dwayne Wade and like that's a little different than Jokic because I think we had known Dirk for many years. For whatever reason, Dirk is German. I'm not saying he won 2 MVPs, but he was a superstar.
in a small market, out of all places, in a small market. Hence the Joker in a small market, and that's in Denver. I think Denver's a larger market by contrast to San Antonio.
Stan Kroenke, who owns the Rams, owns the Denver Nuggets.
The Avalanche.
And the other one, too, yes.
WNBA team, soccer team. He's doing quite well for himself in championship days.
He also married a Walton, a Walmart. His wife is not worth as much as he is, but she's a billionaire, too, from the Walmart fortune. So I think
talk about a power couple.
Financially speaking, I just want to go over this, and we don't have to, but yes, of course, when Michael Jordan played, superstar, and not just superstar, but like, here's the thing Jokic doesn't have, and if you watch him, no, technically he's amazing, but he's not super, like I've heard him be coined as awkward, but he's unbelievably smart, his basketball IQ, but he's not
the sexy pick.
No, he's not. You got it. He's not as great. Right. So Jordan was sexy. He was a sexy player to watch. I mean, he was graceful. He had unique athletic talents. And I'm not saying Jokic, they both are getting it done. I'm just saying that Jokic doesn't bring that to the table. So if we had to attribute why, not just the two markets probably are the biggest one. If they were the Lakers Celtics, they're probably if Jokic was on the Lakers, he'd be a bigger star. Definitely. It's not even a question.
If the Joker was playing in Chicago, he would be massive. He would be massive. He really would, because Chicago is a huge market.
I have a feeling like he likes it. Like he's so like
he loves the underdog. He doesn't even have a social media. He has no Instagram. He has no Twitter. He has no viable presence whatsoever in media or on social media.
He was asked about some triple-double record. I can't remember. It was and it was like, what does this mean to you that you're the and he goes, not that much.
Yeah, he said unless you want to pad your numbers.
He said he was bummed out that the parade was Thursday. He joked about it today at the parade because he wanted to go back to Serbia or whatever. He's just honest, almost like, but not in a bad way. He's just like,
almost too honest.
He's like, he's like, they're a good team. No, he's just there's nothing in his personality. I don't know how much it is cultural. It's definitely somewhat cultural, but
quite possibly. Don't forget the underdog mentality for guys that weren't that had no good. Let's say no good, but I would say they did not have the type of awareness by coaches. They weren't sought after by coaches. He waited till the 14th pick in the first round to be drafted by the Nuggets. Jamal Murray ended up earlier than he did. Neither one are American. One's Serbian and one's Canadian. But yet they went into this Nugget system where they had to adapt to American culture. I think it was more of a challenge for Nikola Jokic to grasp the handles of American society, whereas Canada is just above, the U.S. So it's not as if they don't get the feeds from the U.S. and so on and so forth. But the numbers get different when you talk about the numbers between numbers for players, numbers for viewership. When you look at the NFL as an example, they have, and on any given day, and let's just use Christmas as an example. So who would you rather watch? The NBA on Christmas Day. I always look forward to that because that's typically the only game that I will be able to watch, or watching the NFL. Now, last year,
the NFL better.
Well, okay, granted, yes.
Better. I like regular season NFL much better than NBA regular season. There's obviously less games, but you don't need answered question. Go ahead.
You're more than on the point there, because you're right in the 25.9 million people that watch Packers Dolphins, or Broncos and Rams at 22.5 million, or Bucks Cardinals, which isn't predominantly a hot ticket considering the Cardinals have been horrible for forever. 17.15 million. Now the numbers get kind of flipped, and they don't look as sexy. NBA 4 million, 76ers Knicks, Lakers Mavericks 4.3 ish. Bucks Celtics 6 million, Grizzlies Warriors 4.7.
Bucks Celtics, what are you talking about?
In the NBA, the difference between viewerships and what that actually looks like. So clearly, the lion's share belongs to the NFL.
Yeah, the
so
NFL,
if you want sexiness, you want sexier players and connectivity.
No,
that
the NFL will never. I mean, the NBA will never catch the NFL if it does everything under the sun. Neither will Major League Baseball. And I know, whatever, 70 years ago, baseball was ahead of football.
That's the thing of the past.
Yeah, it's the NFL.
The NFL is the future.
But that's what I want to read you and then get on. I want to end this podcast. I just want to read you the most popular events in reverse, because you know what I think it is. It's what you're talking about, and then it gets to world events, and you'll be surprised. This is
Olympics and
from 20, which I can't stand. National. Or I'm not a big number 15. Just let's skip it. The World of Rugby, World Cup of Rugby, 12.8 million viewers. All right, it's obviously not people in the U.S., but there are people in the Kentucky Derby, 19 million viewers. Okay, moving on here as I give this dissertation. The NCAA Final Four has 18.1 million viewers, and we're talking about men's, okay? But the highest rated one, I believe, still is 79, Magic and Bird, okay? For Michigan State against Indiana State for the title. Well, let's see here. There's more. Masters, 13.16 million viewers. NBA Finals 16.9 million. Final Four 18.1. This is 2022, so that outrated the NBA Finals. That surprises me. The World Series 14.3 million. The Super Bowl 112.3 million. And this is
ding ding ding.
This is, okay, so that's America's topper by far. But then
humongous.
The UEFA Champions League, 380 million viewers, okay, which is more than triple the Super Bowl. Okay, I'm just saying it gets to the world. And then you talk about Olympics, boxing, 1 billion viewers, Women's World Cup, 1.12 billion viewers, soccer, obviously, Winter Games, 2 billion viewers.
That's insane. Those numbers can not even be remotely.
They're not. The Olympics are not a sporting. No, it's competition, and it's athletic competition. But people who I know, a lot of people who don't like sports, who love the Olympics, and people who do like basketball and football, they don't care for it that much. I don't have that much attachment. Like, sure, the '92 Barcelona Dream Team, I appreciate it. It's not like I don't appreciate their abilities. It's not about that, but I'm just talking about from an entertainment standpoint. If I care more about the NFL playoffs or the Olympics, it's not even close. I'm just being honest. Summer Games, 2 billion viewers. Number 3, Cricket World Cup, 2.6 billion viewers. Number 2, World Cup of Soccer, 3.3 billion viewers. Number 1, Tour de France, 3.5.
Wow.
Viewers. So the world takes over a little bit. So even just soccer, it's not that popular in this country, but it is popular worldwide.
It definitely is. Now, to bring it back down to earth, think about it like this. The NFL on any given roster, 53 players, right?
Yeah.
The NBA teams employ relatively 12 to 15, give or take, plus minus. NFL plays only 16 games in a regular season, whereas the NBA teams play 82. What that actually means is that the NBA plays longer, they play harder. I'm not saying contact. This is not contact. We're talking harder by length of schedule, by strength of schedule.
Yeah, but you can make an argument that an NFL player takes a much bigger, and I'm not saying NBA players don't take, like Allen Iverson used to get the hell fouled out of
Oh,
here,
you get
but
you
I'm
get
just
you get
the
chopped, you
mug.
get
Yeah,
hacked,
it's
elbows
still
to the face.
it's
I mean,
still not the NFL though, as
no,
far
no,
as
it
that
isn't. But
goes.
but
As far
but
as
think
that, where
about the
that's
amount of
part of the
games.
game. What?
Exactly. Think about the amount of games that the NBA plays versus the NFL.
Yeah,
Is
I
is
think the fact that it's not you're not getting physically down with a person on every play is part of the reason why the NFL players don't do that. But I don't want to get fully off track here. But what's your point about the NFL and the
my
NBA and the
my
level of physical
my point is
engagement?
this: the NFL predominantly collides into other players with pure intent. That's part of the game. That is a game esque, right? On the outside looking in. Whereas the NBA completely disallows you from making any contact, somebody going to the rim or in a shooting motion from three or in the perimeter.
They're two different sports. Now you're trying to compare the game
No,
of football with the game of basketball. The
no,
game of basketball
I'm
rules.
giving I'm giving contrast. Two opposite ends of the spectrum. One is fully engaged in a physical format from the line of scrimmage, whereas the NBA is
I'll
not.
argue tennis is less engaged physically with your opponent 100% than basketball is.
Oh,
You're not
absolutely.
gonna physically you don't physically engage with your opponent at all.
Well, golf either.
Yeah. Our root dog, we're gonna wrap this up. I just am saying that the NBA finals, and I don't know what the NHL did, but it's still the NHL, which is never popular, even though it is somewhat of a world sport. But it's just, you know what it is? It's great live, and football is great on TV. And the best game I've ever seen was USC Texas live at the Rose Bowl. I'm not. I was at the, but I was at the 50-yard line working
It's a great
for the
spot.
great WFAN in New York and Sporting News Radio, now defunct. But all I'm saying is that football is great on TV. You're on top of the line of scrimmage. It does very well rated. Hockey is not like live. Live hockey is better. I can make an argument that instead of sitting in the opposite end zone where you have depth perception issues or whatever, that watching on TV is a better experience than going to the game. Maybe not if you have 50-yard line tickets and you want the experience, but football does very well. Yes, it's more interesting for most people than hockey, but it also is made for television.
NHL hockey is good when you have a suite.
Okay, right. So you're at the game, though. All right, Rude
Forget
Dog.
being against the glass. Forget that guy in the audience with the finger flip to someone else. Just,
So it's not surprising that the NBA Finals did not do well because ratings-wise, because markets
well,
a
think about this
legitimate
though.
superstar who's going to go down, but he's not. His personality isn't. You said the sexy. You said it.
Yeah, it isn't. But what's even more interesting, and put a feather in your hat on this. The 2023 NBA playoffs were the most watched on ESPN platforms in 11 years since 2012.
Oh, really? The entire. All right. So good. So then, as long as the NBA is doing well, I enjoy it. I don't think it's a reason to dislike the Nuggets that they're not exciting. Like, embrace them, and it will be interesting as we move forward. So, Rude Dog, have yourself a wonderful night. All right, for
You as well.
Rudy.
Thanks, E-Mak.
Thank you for Rudy Rude Dog Reyes. I'm E-Mak Evan Makovsky. This is the Issues of Sports, and we will see you on the next episode.